The morning was crisp, with a light mist curling lazily around the waking houses. William Cross woke up early, as always. Over his morning cup of coffee, he mulled over the day ahead. Arriving at the precinct, Cross stepped into the duty room and called Billy McCoy in for questioning. He sat across from Billy, who had his arms crossed and a smug look on his face. "You banned from showering or something?" Cross asked, deciding to throw him off balance a little. "None of your damn business," McCoy snapped back, clearly offended. "Who killed Clifford Brooks?" "I don't know any Brooks." "Who told you to keep tailing me?" Cross knew someone was pulling McCoy's strings. He was just a small-time pawn. "I just love checking out sweet rides. No way you actually earned yours." McCoy had slipped back into his usual cocky attitude. "Who was in this picture?" Cross held up a torn photograph. The moment McCoy saw it, fear flashed across his face, but he quickly pulled himself together. "Me and Larson don't know the rest," McCoy smirked. Cross suddenly stood up, grabbed a cast-iron statue of Washington, and casually placed it on the shelf. "Yeah, I only know Larson. What is that, a crime now?" McCoy figured Cross was about to rough him up. The smirk vanished from his face. It was clear that it wasn't the familiarity of Larson that McCoy feared. He was afraid of meeting whoever else was in the photograph. That's when Cross decided to get cunning. "Tomorrow I'm setting up a face-to-face confrontation with the woman whose house you broke into. And if she says you laid a hand on her, I'll personally make sure your time in prison is anything but easy. Your only way out is a full confession." But McCoy shut down and didn't say another word. Cross saw his hands trembling with fear, but couldn't figure out who exactly he was so afraid of. The next day, Evelyn was discharged from the hospital. William came to pick her up and take her home. As soon as she saw him, she wrapped her arms around him and kissed him. "I missed you so much," she murmured, squinting slightly, which only made her features even more beautiful. Cross scooped her up and gently placed her in the car. They drove in silence, exchanging only glances and quiet smiles. "Evelyn, I need to ask you to do something that won't be easy for you." William hesitated. Evelyn raised a questioning brow, still smiling. "We caught someone who was very likely in your house that night. Can you come in and identify him?" "Of course, if it helps the case, I'm ready. Let's just get it over with as quickly as possible." "I just want to put this nightmare behind me." "Then let's go right now," William suggested. Evelyn gave a sad smile and nodded. Cross turned onto the road leading to the precinct and pressed down on the gas. The police station was buzzing like a beehive. A new shipment of furniture had arrived. People were carrying pieces back and forth, bumping into each other, cursing, and then going right back to hauling furniture again. An hour later, in the interrogation room, where Billy McCoy was already seated alongside two undercover officers, William Cross brought Evelyn in. "Do you recognize anyone in this room?" Cross asked her. Evelyn Lambert looked at Billy McCoy and instantly went pale. Their eyes locked. Cross watched them both and suddenly realized McCoy was more afraid than Evelyn. "It's him," she said, barely above a whisper but with certainty. She turned to William, buried her face in his shoulder, and began to cry softly. Cross led her into his office and poured her a glass of water. "Just wait a little. I'll file the paperwork and then I'll take you home right away." As Cross stepped out of his office, he nearly ran into Captain Enrique Mendoza. Mendoza was waving his arms wildly and yelling at Lieutenant Doyle. Turns out, along with the new furniture, 3 suspects had also been brought in for questioning, each for a different case. The hallway was completely jammed. Whose bright idea was it to bring in both furniture and suspects at the same time? "Where the hell are we supposed to put them between interrogations? Are you planning to guard them yourself?" Captain Mendoza bellowed. Francis Doyle stood there in resigned silence, staring at the floor while Mendoza kept shouting. Instead of responding, he was watching a cockroach struggling to crawl under the baseboard with mild interest. Just then, Billy McCoy was led out of the interrogation room. "Hey Doyle, book the suspect and get me the next one. Move it," growled Lieutenant Duane. Without a word, his face blank, Doyle sat McCoy down on a bench and cuffed him to the railing. McCoy smirked crookedly and lazily glanced around at the other suspects, as if he were picking travel companions for a long journey. One of the suspects gave McCoy a quick wink, a subtle but clear signal. Yeah, they definitely knew each other. William Cross rushed back to his office, where Evelyn was waiting. "Can I wait in the car?" she asked softly. "Of course. I'll be quick." All Cross had left to do was hand off the paperwork to the prosecutor. After that, he was done for the day. That was it. William signed the papers, hurried out into the hallway, and practically skipped toward the exit. As he walked past the suspects sitting on the benches, he noticed Billy McCoy slumped in an odd, unnatural way. "Hey, they haven't taken you out yet?" Cross asked, giving him a pat on the shoulder. Billy McCoy slowly slid off the bench. His left hand was cuffed to it, keeping him from collapsing onto the floor completely. A medical scalpel was lodged under his ribs, and a thin stream of blood trickled from beneath his shirt. No one around had noticed that Billy was already dead. Captain Mendoza stood a couple of meters away from McCoy, his back turned, arguing with some officer. Lieutenant Doyle shuffled down the hallway, fumbling in his pocket for his keys. People kept hauling furniture around, and the only one paying attention was a suspect who had just been brought in for questioning. He sat nearby, watching William Cross with a sly grin. Cross stepped out of the station and walked over to his Buick. Evelyn was sitting inside. When she saw Cross, she gave him a tired smile. "Ready to go?" she asked. "Sorry, not tonight. Sergeant Winslow will drive you to my place and stay with you until I get back." "I have to stay," William said with a bitter smile. He didn't want to tell Evelyn what had just happened at the station. She'd had enough for one day. After giving Winslow his instructions, he waved to Evelyn and headed back inside.